Okay, so working on the VR6 Jetta again. I came into an issue with the overflow problem, and I thought it was this thing over here. I thought this had a crack in it because it was leaking on this side. But what was happening is the fan wasn't kicking on. So check that fan. If it's not kicking on when it hits temperature, there's a fuse right here. And if you look closely, it's all melted out. And if that fuse doesn't get a connection, the fan won't work. First thing you want to do is, of course, take off the cover. Once you take off the cover, this is going to be on top. You open it up by pinching these tabs together, lift it out, and then pop this off. Then you're going to take your number 10. So take a number 10 and take off your negative wire first. So you want to get this off so that way it doesn't make connection. Once you get that off, you put that out of the way, and then you're only going to want to take off this one because this is the harness that you're going to do. So you take off this little harness right here. So once you take off this harness, it's a number 10 as well. It's a little bit stubborn. So get that to remove, and make sure you keep your hardware, only because the new one, it doesn't come with the nuts for this side. It comes with everything here and then this side, but not the other side. One thing I noticed that was different is this nut right here, or this little attachment here. This new one has a nut on it, so pre-attached, and it spins, which is pretty cool. So what you want to do is take each one of these wires off and reconnect it to the new side. So each one just put back in the same way you took it off. And you want to also pull out this plug, which this whole thing pops off, so you can pull that off. So you detach this plug by just pulling out on it. There may at one time have been a clip that was right here, but it probably broke. Everything in this damn car is like brittle. After the heat attacks it, it's like it was made to hit like 60,000 miles before stuff started falling apart on it. So let me get that off real quick. So I pulled it off like that, really easy. And then, like I said, just take these ones off and then replace them on the new fusible link, or fusible block on top of your battery. And let me get to that, and then I'll show you what that looks like. So one thing I noticed when putting this in is if you tighten it slightly too tight, this will start spinning. So be careful to not over tighten the new one. Also, when you put it on, it doesn't start right away. Like if you look closely, it hits the plastic. So what I did was I put the socket on it, that, and push down on it, and push down to get it started. Keep tightening, and it pushes the plastic away, and then it tightens up, and then you just fairly snug it, and then it sits down in there. So do that for the remaining terminals, and then connect it back. Okay, so before you attach this back onto here, this is really thin, so you're going to want a washer. I'm going to use this lock washer to kind of give it space, so when you do start tightening it, it will actually cinch up. What was happening was, since this is so thin, it was running out of threads on the stud that was sticking up, and it would be loose. So make sure you put something under there to give it some type of space, and then just tighten it up. Where you would put on the cover. Okay, so I fixed this nut that it kept stripping. What happened was, if you look at the top of this one, the threads aren't that good, and you can see a gap right there. so it wasn't allowing it to engage enough. So all you got to do is bend out that tab. See how this one has a tab? Take this whole thing off, slide this nut out, so this nut will slide forward. Once it slides forward, just leave it forward and you'll be fine, and then put it back on and screw a new nut on it. And all you need is like some needle nose or something to pry that down, and that's pretty much it. Okay, so once you install it over here and everything, install the negative back on with the number 10. All this is the number 10. Put the cover back on, cover it back up, and should be done. And now your fan should start working. So let's see how I'll start it up and see what's up. So once again, if you have a leak over in this area, more than likely it's not here. It's because your car's overheating. So if you notice your car's overheating and you don't have no leak over here, because you got the water pump over here with the weep hole and stuff. So if that's not leaking, you have your impeller over here, you have your hoses, all the hoses that connect to your radiator over here. There's one under here, and then there's another hose under here on the lower portion of this, of course. But what was happening was I seen water in this area back there on the floor, and what was happening is the actual fans weren't kicking on. So when the car overheated, it would spill out of here, and the way you know it's spilling out of here is just lift up on this thing, and then you can see the spill hole. And if it starts spilling out of here, you know that, hey, that's your leak. So if that's your leak, definitely check the fan to make sure it comes on. If it doesn't come on, it's these fuses. And like I said, keep these fusible links, because if one blows on your new one, you can always replace it. But that right there is for your fan, guys. So this could save you a lot of money. And the way you would know is if you go like this and wiggle it, you would see a spark right here. And this is a very common problem on the VR6. Hope you liked this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up and subscribe. So as you can see, the fan hasn't came on yet, and it reached 190. So it reached 190. Just give it a rev and rev it up to about 2000 RPM, and it should kick on the fan. So I'm going to do that right now, and we'll see. And the way to check to make sure that that is the issue is by, when you have your old fuse block, just wiggle this, and if it goes off, you know that that's causing the issue and you need to replace this module right here. And then as you can see, it turns off once it cools down your car to the right temperature. But yeah, wiggle this fuse to make sure that that kicks on and off. If it kicks on and off, then you know that that fuse is bad, based on that where I showed you earlier, the plastic being torn apart right there from it melting. So as long as this is good, wiggle it, and if you see it spark and that turns on, make sure you're up to temperature at 190 and rev it up to 2000 RPMs, or have somebody rev it up, so that way you could still wiggle this fuse and check here. Also, if you're getting your ABS light and brake light to flash, this may also be the problem, because it's not making connection and it's getting this connection really hot, causing your ABS to malfunction. So start with this if you're messing with the ABS, because you see the light as well. And also these are very well known to start cracking and heating up in this edge right here, that plastic. So ABS problems, brake problems, these fuses are the ones to deal with. And when I would pull them and like pull them, wait an hour, and then put it back in, what I was actually doing was remaking contact with this surface over here, causing the lights to go off, you know, and allowing the fuse to cool down. So replace this box if you have any ABS problems before you do anything else, because this is like $29 online and like $40 at your AutoZone and CRAYON. So hope this helped, and you liked the video. Thanks for watching.